Hi everyone, welcome to Eco Learning Classes. This is Professor Geeta Mahesh. Dear students, today we are going to discuss macroeconomic identities. Before we take up macroeconomic identities, let us have a clarity on factor cost, basic prices and market prices. These are differentiated or distinguished on the basis of the distinction between net production taxes and net product tax. What net production tax? Net production tax is the difference between production tax and production subsidies. Then what do you mean by net product tax? Net product tax is the difference between product tax and product subsidies. Then you should know what is production tax and production subsidy. Usually production tax and subsidy are related to the production irrespective to the volume of production. So it is related to production, but how much they are producing, it is not related to the quantity that they are producing. So it is related to production activity, but it is not related to the volume of production. Example, land revenue stamps, registration, etc. Then product taxes and subsidies are related with respect to the product. That means it is tax or subsidy given per unit of output produced. For example, excise tax, service tax, export-import duties, etc. Then how you are going to calculate gross value added at basic prices. See here, gross value added at a basic price is equal to gross value added at factor cost plus net production taxes. You know factor cost? To produce a particular product, we need land, labor, capital, organization. So whatever the money you spend on these four factors of production to produce goods, if we consider that cost, then it is called as value added at factor cost. To this factor cost, if we are going to include the difference between production tax and production subsidy, which we call it as net production taxes. Then how to calculate or arrive at gross value added at market price? Then you can consider gross value added at market price equal to gross value added at basic price, which you are going to get after adding net production tax to factor cost. You will get a basic prices. To this basic prices, you have to add net product taxes. When you add net product taxes to gross value added at basic prices, then you are going to get a market price. That means the value market price is nothing but the value of goods in the market. So whatever the value, whatever the price you are going to pay in the market, that we call it as market price. Dear students, here you can see net production tax is equal to production tax minus production subsidy. Then product tax is equal to product tax minus product subsidy. The factor cost plus net production tax is equal to basic price. You have to remember basic price plus net product tax is equal to market price. Dear students, before we take up a macroeconomic identities, let us have a little detail with respect to gross and net. Here you can see we have gross value. From this gross value, if you are going to deduct the depreciation charges, then you will arrive at a net. That means net is a part of gross and net plus depreciation charges. If you are going to add, then you are going to gross. That means in gross we are going to include depreciation charges. If we remove this depreciation charges, then the left out we will take it as net. Clear, Makla? So this is what I wanted to tell you, that we are going to consider here. From gross, we should deduct the depreciation charges. In similar manner, net is a part of gross, and we know that along with the net, if depreciation DC is added, we will arrive at a gross. So from net to gross, if you are moving, so from net, or if you are converting net into gross, then add depreciation charges. From gross to net, if you are coming from gross to net, then you should deduct the depreciation charges. Dear students, domestic is a smaller concept and national is a little bigger concept. You can keep in that way, so that to make a small to big you should add, and from big to small you should deduct. First, let us understand what is net income from abroad. Net income from abroad is nothing but a receipts minus payment. What is this receipts minus payment means? If the factors of production are working abroad, the labors are in the form of investment, anything you are doing outside the country, and whatever the foreigners are paying, you will send it to the domestic country. That we call it as receipts. In the similar manner, the foreigners may be working in our country and we are making a payment for them. So they will take that outside the country. That means we are paying to foreigners who are working in our country. Clear, Makla? So if you take a difference between the receipts of factor income from abroad and the payment of factors income to abroad, then you are going to get a net income from abroad. You can consider net income from abroad, or you can take it as net factor income from abroad. You can denote like this also. Net factor income from abroad or net income from abroad. So both are one and the same. When you are converting domestic into national, you should add net income from abroad or net factor income from abroad. In the similar manner, when you are converting national to domestic, that means national is converted into domestic, in that time you should deduct net income from abroad or net factor income from abroad. Dear students, now let us understand the market price and factor cost. When you are arriving from market price to factor cost, you should deduct the net indirect taxes. And when you are arriving from factor cost to market price, that time you should add net indirect taxes. Let us take an example. Before that, what is a net indirect tax means? It is the difference between indirect tax and subsidy. See here in the market price, there is a product and whose cost is 20 rupees. Now government is going to announce subsidy of 50%. Now this product will be available at 10 rupees in the market. But what is the factor cost? Factor cost is 20 rupees. But because government has given subsidy, okay, government has given subsidy, because of that reason, now that product is 10 rupees. Okay, so when you are arriving from market price to factor cost, what is factor cost? 20. It is available at 10 rupees. The reason is subsidy is given. If we add to this 10 rupees the given subsidy, then it becomes a 20 rupees, and which is equal to factor cost. So when you are arriving from market price to factor cost, you should add subsidies. How much subsidy is given? 20 rupees, sorry, 10 rupees. That 10 rupees you should add. In a similar manner, there is a product, B product, and whose cost is 10 rupees. Now let me take it as 1000 rupees. Now government is going to impose a tax. How much tax it is going to impose? 100 rupees. The tax is equal to 100 rupees. Now the market price will become 1100, okay, market price, but actual price is 1000 rupees. What is the factor cost to produce a B product? They incurred only 1000 rupees, but government imposed 100 rupees as a tax. Now in the market it is available at 1100. So we have to deduct 100 rupees. So what is net indirect tax? Net indirect tax is nothing but a difference between indirect tax and subsidy. What is indirect tax? 100, sorry, what is tax imposed by the government? That is minus 100. Then subsidy is given, that you need to add, that is 10. So what you need to deduct to arrive? What is the factor cost? 1000. Exact cost is 1000. But government imposed a tax, and because of that reason market price has become 1100. Now we should remove 100. For that purpose you are going to deduct. With respect to A product, the factor cost is 20 rupees, but government has given 50% of subsidy. That means it is available at 10 rupees, but 10 rupees has given a subsidy by government. Now that subsidy has to be added to come to original cost, which we call it as factor cost. So here I am adding 10 rupees which was given as subsidy by the government. Now if we take a difference between these two, then you are going to get a minus 90. Why it is minus 90 means the greater value has a sign, a negative sign, and a smaller value has a positive sign. So it becomes a minus 90. So because of this, we have to deduct net indirect tax. I took a difference between tax and subsidy. Clear, Makla? So because of that reason, we need to deduct. And at the same time, when you are from factor cost to market price, that time you have to add net indirect tax. For example, what is the exact factor cost of a product? That is 20. But government has given subsidy, so deduct subsidy. You have to deduct subsidy from the factor cost. And at the same time, what is the subsidy given? That is 10 rupees. At the same time, in the market it is available at a how much rupees? 1100. B product in the market, it is available 1100. But what is the factor cost? Only 1000 rupees. To this factor cost, if we are going to add tax, to this factor cost, if we are going to add tax, then it becomes 1100. That means add tax. So what is the tax? Plus 100. And what is the subsidy? Minus 10. Then you do it, the difference, find out the difference. Then you are going to get a plus 90. That plus 90 we are going to add to this factor cost. Then you are going to arrive at a market price. I hope you are able to understand. Again, you watch this slide, then it becomes very easy for you to understand. Dear students, now let us understand macroeconomic identities. Some of the macroeconomic identities are GDP. What is the expansion for GDP? Gross Domestic Product. What do you mean by gross domestic product? aggregate production of final goods and services that taking place within the domestic economy during a year. So you have to consider the political boundary or geographical boundary of India, and you have to consider the aggregate production of final goods and services that are taking place in that domestic economy in a given period of time, usually a year. All production done by national residents and non-resident in a country gets included regardless of whether that production is owned by local company or foreign entity. What do you mean by that? That means in India, whether it is established by Indian company, domestic company or foreign company, but it has to be located within the country. So that is what they are, whether it is owned by a local company or foreign entity. And moreover, the producer has to be maybe national resident or non-resident, but they have to be within the country and they are participating in the production of goods and services in that domestic territory of a country, whether it is owned by uh, Indians or, for example, domestic people or foreigners. So here the owner is not important. The location of producing unit is very, very important. So what is the formula for GDP at market price? C plus, that is consumption, investment, government, X minus M. That means consumption expenditure, investment expenditure, government expenditure, and export minus import, you'll get a net export. Then GDP at factor cost is equal to GDP at market price minus net indirect tax. To arrive at factor cost, you have to deduct the net indirect tax from the market price. The second one is NDP, net domestic product. So here we are talking about GDP minus gross to net. To arrive at gross to net, you have to deduct the depreciation charges. So for that reason, you know what is GDP. GDP is nothing but an aggregate production of final goods and services taking place within the domestic economy during a year. I repeat once again, for GDP, you are writing the same meaning, that is aggregate production of final goods and services taking place within the domestic economy during a year. But from this gross domestic, we have to deduct the depreciation charges. What is depreciation charges means? In this part, the capital gets consumed when we are participating in the production of final goods and services. During that period, the capital gets consumed during the year due to wear and tear. So when there is a wear and tear or capital loss, there should be a regular repair and maintenance. For regular repair and maintenance, whatever you are going to spend, that we call it as depreciation charges. And this wear and tear called depreciation, and it does not become anybody's income. It does not become anybody's income. So for that reason, if we deduct depreciation from GDP, we arrive at net domestic product. See, net domestic product at market price equals GDP at market price minus depreciation. So how will you find out the NDP factor cost? NDP market price minus net indirect tax. Now let us discuss net national product, NNP. This net national product, you can consider again this net national product is equal to GDP. Then we should convert gross into net. We should convert gross into net. For that, we are going to deduct minus depreciation charges. And at the same time, we should convert domestic into national. To convert domestic into national, we should add net factor income from abroad. See, or you can consider net factor income from abroad. See, first we are going to write a meaning for GDP. Aggregate production of final goods and services in an economy, regardless whether that production has taken place in a domestic territory or abroad. See here, net national product market price is equal to net domestic market price plus net factor income from abroad. So for net domestic, N already G, it is not G. NDP you have taken. So N is there, no issues. Only we have to convert domestic into national. For that, we are going to add net factor income from abroad. What is net factor income from abroad? Net factor income earned by domestic factors of production employed in the rest of the world minus factor income earned by factors of production of the rest of the world are employed in the domestic economy. See, factors of production who are working in our economy, we are going to make a payment for them. And those Indians who are working in the rest of the world will receive. So receipts minus payment. Payment what we pay to the foreigners for working in India, and receipts Indians are working outside the country and they will receive their income, that has to be added. When you add receipts, you have to deduct the payments. If you take a difference between this, you are going to get a net factor income from abroad. Then how will you calculate net national product at factor cost? Means net national product market price minus net indirect tax. If you do, you will arrive at net national product at factor cost. The fourth one is gross national product, GNP. See, GNP is, you can consider as NNP. Now we have to convert net into gross. We have to convert net into gross. To convert a gross national product from net, we have to deduct the depreciation charges. For that, we are going to write a meaning of NNP. What is the meaning of NNP? Net national product. Aggregate production of final goods and services in an economy, regardless of whether that production has taken place in domestic territories or abroad. Whether the production of goods and services are done in a domestic territories or abroad. But it includes the depreciation charges. In the gross, you know very well, in the gross, we know very well we are going to include depreciation charges. You can see here gross national product at market price equals net national product at market price plus depreciation. If you add depreciation to net, then you are going to get a gross. So you can see here gross national product at market price equal to GDP market price plus, here we are going to convert domestic into national by adding net factor income from abroad. You can do that also. Directly you can take a GDP. So GDP, if you add net factor income from abroad, then easily you can convert gross national product at market price. Now gross national product at factor cost is equal to gross national product at market price minus net indirect taxes. Next one is PI, personal income. See, personal income is that income which is distributed among four factors of production. See, part of national income distributed to household called personal income. National income, part of profit which is not distributed, which we call it as undistributed profit, has to be deducted. So undistributed profit which is not distributed among the factors of production, you have to deduct. Then you have to pay corporate tax to the government, and that corporate tax has to be deducted. And at the same time, you should deduct even net interest payment made by household does not occur to the household. So we should deduct from the national income. And we should add factor transfer payments to the households from the government, or it is from firms, and that should be added to national income. Transfer payment without performing any work, if money is transferred from one person to other person, or from government to a person, or from firm to a person, we call it as transfer payment. In short, you can see in the form of formula, personal income is equal to national income minus undistributed profit minus net interest payment made by households minus corporate tax plus transfer payment. If you do, you will arrive at personal income. The next one is personal disposable income. And this personal disposable income is that part of aggregate income which is belong to households. Okay, personal income does not completely belong to household. Why the personal income is not or does not completely belong to household? Because they have to pay personal tax, and sometimes if any mistake if you do, then they are going to impose penalty, okay, or fine, and that we call it as non-tax payment. When you pay non-tax payment or tax payment, then that money won't be available to you. The remaining you have to use for consumption purpose or for saving purpose. So because of that reason, personal disposable income is equal to personal income minus personal tax payments minus non-tax payments. Here, for example, when you pay income tax, that money won't be available for you to consume. And at the same time, if you are not wearing a helmet and you are catch hold and they are going to impose a fine, and if you pay fine, then that money won't be available for you either for consumption or for saving. Then that part of the payment which we are going to deduct from personal income to arrive at personal disposable income. Dear students, if you like, please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much.